My name is Noah Whitaker. I was the kid with secondhand shoes, thrift store dreams, and the kind of ambition that gets laughed out of dining rooms. Let me take you back to a Thanksgiving dinner I'll never forget. I was 25, jobless, crashing in my sister's guest room. The turkey was dry, the wine was cheap, and the sarcasm was served hot. I sat wedged between Uncle Jim and my brother-in-law Carter, two men who thought the stock market was a get-rich-quick scheme, and real estate was only for people with money. Still, I couldn't help it. I spoke. I've been reading about real estate flips. You can start small, buy something, beat up, fix it up, sell, or rent it. I think I'm gonna go for it. The silence that followed lasted exactly 2 seconds, just long enough for Carter to swallow his laugh so he wouldn't choke on his green bean casserole. You, he said, eyebrows already raised. Gonna buy property? With what? Your monopoly money. All the laughter, real guttural laughter. Even my sister cracked a smile behind her wine glass. I looked down at my plate. 1 scoop of mashed potatoes. No gravy. I'm serious, I muttered. Carter leaned in. Buddy, listen, some of us were built to own. Some of us just rent. That's life. The worst part wasn't what he said. It was the way everyone didn't say anything. Not Mom. Not even my sister. No one pushed back. I guess they thought I needed to hear it straight. I did. Just not in the way they expected. Trust me, you'll regret skipping this part. So before you sit back and listen, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the Final Revenge channel. But only if you really like what I have to say here. Now get in the mood to listen to this story, because it might be the ultimate sweet revenge. That Thanksgiving night, I stood in their driveway, hood up breath, fogging the air, and looked up at the house they called their forever home. And I whispered, someday, this'll be mine. Their guest room smelled like defeat. The mattress sagged. The sheets were a strange mix of lavender and mildew. And every morning, I woke up to the sound of Carter clomping around in loafers like a man rehearsing confidence. I had no car, no job. Just a backpack full of notes, a cracked phone, and the free trial of a real estate webinar I wasn't supposed to still be watching. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't entitled. I was just between things. And Carter made sure I never forgot it. He'd knock on the door at 6:45 sharp. Every morning. Yo, kitchen's clear. You can heat up whatever's left. Translation, you eat after us. On day 5, he left a folded laundry basket outside my door with a sticky note. If you're gonna stay, at least pull your weight. I didn't say a word. I just started washing their clothes like clockwork. They had a dog, Daisy, sweet overweight and left in a backyard full of dried poop and forgotten shoe toys. I walked her every day. I'd whisper business podcast episodes to myself while she sniffed trees. I had nothing but I was watching, learning. Carter's mail wasn't even hidden. Mortgage statements, late notices, junk offers to refinance all tossed on the hallway table like no one in the house could read fine print. But I could. They were leveraged, tight, 1 bad quarter from foreclosure, but they still acted like royalty in sweatpants. The more Carter mocked me, the more I studied him, how he talked to people, how he didn't listen. How every compliment he gave was laced with competition. He didn't know it, but he was teaching me everything I'd need to beat him later. It was around week 3 when I finally broke, not from insult, not from the cold, but from a moment so small you'd miss it if you blinked. Carter was hosting his guys' night. Football beers, cigars on the porch. He walked into the guest room unannounced, tossed me a 20 and said, "Run to the store. We're low on chips." That was it. No, please. No thanks. Just assumption. That I was the help. That I'd always be the help. I went to the store, bought the chips, and then with my last $48 in savings, I walked to a bus station. No plan, just a decision. A hard, irrational, fire-breathing kind of decision. I was done being the ghost in someone else's house. If they thought I was too poor to matter, then fine. Let them watch what a broke man with a memory could become. I slept in a 24-hour laundromat my first night out. Don't romanticize it. It smelled like detergent and despair, and I woke up to someone yelling at a dryer. But at least it was mine, my air, my decision, my rock bottom. The next morning, I made the hardest phone call of my life. Not because I didn't know what I wanted, but because I already knew the answer. It was to my sister. I asked for $1,000. Not for food, not for rent. For a real estate mentorship program I'd been eyeing online for months, an entry-level course promising connections, off-market listings, and the system no one tells you. I laid it out, gave her every reason, explained the business model, the returns, the upside. Silence. Then Carter got on the line. Bro, he said like I was his sidekick. You really out here begging for fantasy money? I'm not begging, I replied. It's a business investment. It's leverage. I've done the research. Then research a job. Wendy's is hiring. Click. That was it. No, sorry. No, we wish you the best. Just the sound of a man who thought power meant deciding who got to dream. I should have been angry, but I was calm. Because when someone tells you exactly who they are, you can finally stop pretending otherwise. I took my $48 and bought a used bike off Craigslist, lived on dollar store soup, snuck into libraries to use Wi-Fi, signed up for every free Zoom class I could. I met an old contractor named Luis in a chat thread. Said I could sweep job sites, haul tile, scrub grout, whatever. He gave me a shot. That shot turned into cash. That cash turned into a credit builder loan. That loan, combined with 4 months of grinding and one Hail Mary seller finance deal, got me my first property. It had holes in the floor, mold in the kitchen, rats that knew how to open cabinets. But it was mine. No one gave it to me. I bled for it. I wanted to call Carter, to tell him I did it anyway. But I didn't. I just printed the deed, framed it, and wrote 4 words underneath. First of many, Carter. It was raining the night I signed my second deal. Not poetic romantic rain. I'm talking real deal flash flood ankle-soaked misery. The kind of storm that makes even the most ambitious contractor cancel. But I was there, umbrella, half-broken clothes stuck to my skin, standing in the doorway of a beat-up bungalow with the seller, a woman named Margot, who looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her voice trembled when she said, I just need to get out of this house. I looked around. Termite damage, sagging porch, peeling paint the color of regret. But underneath all that, good bones, real potential. Same as me. She slid the paperwork across a makeshift plastic folding table and said, cash buyer. Not exactly. But I'd learned the art of seller financing and subject to agreements. Margot got relief. I got the keys. No bank involved. I walked back into the rain, holding a folder that said, ownership. I didn't feel proud. I felt charged. Like the rain wasn't soaking me. It was baptizing me into a new identity. That night, I looked up Carter's address online. His mortgage had recently been refinanced, high-interest variable rate, and likely done in a panic. Bad financial move. I knew what that meant. They were slipping. Funny how people who mocked your ambition never tell you when they're drowning. I bookmarked the loan servicer's name, not to save them, to study them, and then I did something I hadn't done in years. I walked into a nice restaurant, alone, soaked to the bone, and ordered a $38 steak. The waiter raised an eyebrow. I smiled and said, it's a victory meal. I own a house now. He laughed like I was joking. I wasn't. I paid in cash, left a $20 tip, walked back into the storm and whispered to no one in particular. This is just the beginning. That rainstorm. It didn't drown me. It sharpened me. Because once you've survived mockery, rejection, hunger, and mold, what's a little weather? You haven't really made it in real estate until you've pulled a dead possum out of a crawl space. Mine was in week 2 of renovating my first property, what the neighborhood affectionately called the Leaning Shack of Maple Street. It had good bones, sure, but everything else? Trash, literal trash. And the possum, not even the worst smell in that place. I couldn't afford a full crew, so I did the demo myself. Me, a rented sledgehammer, and a Bluetooth speaker playing podcasts about grit and high-value men while I ripped up moldy carpet like it had insulted my mother. Noah Whitaker. Property investor, janitor, plumber, raccoon negotiator. I started documenting the Reno on a burner Instagram account. Just before and after shots, a couple of time-lapse videos. No face, no name. Just results. I didn't want followers. I wanted evidence receipts for the future. Proof that I was building something when no one else was watching. Every broken toilet I replaced, I imagined Carter's face. Every rusty pipe I removed, I thought of his smug grin. I was building wealth, the only way I knew how ugly and hands-on. The neighbors noticed. One elderly man across the street gave me a nod every morning. By week 3, he waved. By week 4, he was on my porch with coffee. Used to belong to my buddy Al, he said. Died in that back bedroom, you know. Didn't know. Didn't want to know. But I thanked him. Because now I had context. And context is power. I sold the Maple Street shack for $37,000 more than I bought it. After materials taxes and sweat, I cleared just over $19,000 or $9. You'd think I celebrated. I didn't. I wired $9,000 to a down payment for my second flip the next day. The rest, I walked into a Chase Bank in a second-hand blazer and started an anonymous LLC, Whitestone Holdings. Noah Whitaker was still a nobody, but Whitestone, that name would own half the block by Christmas. And the next time I saw Carter, I'd make sure he didn't recognize me. I stopped using my real name, not legally, just strategically. Because when you've been laughed at, pitied, overlooked, and you start winning, people don't clap. They investigate. So I became a ghost in the records. Whitestone Holdings bought properties. Whitestone signed contracts. Whitestone made quiet cash offers before homes even hit Zillow. Noah was still figuring it out, according to Facebook. It was easier that way. Cleaner. I showed up to closings in borrowed suits, smiled politely. Played dumb when agents asked if I was the assistant. Sure, I'd say. Just getting documents signed. Let them underestimate me. Let them think Whitestone was some old money out-of-town firm. The truth, it was just me. And a prepaid business phone I kept in an oatmeal box. Carter, meanwhile, was spiraling into influencer finance mode. You know, the type cryptic tweets about hustle pretending to be a business guru because he downloaded Robinhood once. He made videos giving real estate advice. Called himself the Everyday Tycoon. I couldn't even hate him. He was just loud. And loud people don't see the quiet ones coming. Then something wild happened. One of Carter's TikToks popped up on a Facebook group I was in for off-market deals. Someone posted it with the caption, "This guy tried to lowball me. Thought he was clever." I watched the clip 10 times. Same Carter voice. Same smugness. But this time I didn't feel small. I felt like I was watching a rerun. Same character, same jokes, just a different audience now. He thought he was ahead, but I'd already flipped 4 houses, closed on a 5-unit rental, had $63K in liquid cash and a line of credit building quietly. And one day, scrolling through a county deed transfer site, I saw it, Carter's name, on a notice of default, 30 days past due. The same house where I slept on a mattress that smelled like lavender and mildew. The forever home. I didn't celebrate. I bookmarked the listing. I opened a spreadsheet, and I started writing a number at the top. $287,000. That's what it would take to buy the house outright. I could feel it, the old house calling to me, but not out of nostalgia, out of justice. They say revenge tastes better when it's served cold. Mine, it tasted like burnt coffee from a closing agent's Keurig stale donut holes and the silence of signing your enemy's home away right under his nose. But before that, someone called me lucky. It was one of those clean-shaven, always-on-the-phone types. A realtor named Zach, barely older than me, wearing loafers without socks and a watch too heavy for his wrist. We were walking through a duplex I was about to close on. Nothing fancy, cracked tile floors, popcorn, ceiling, weird smell coming from Unit B, but it had potential. Volume. I saw the margins. I smelled equity. Zach, he saw a guy in a budget blazer holding a manila folder. He said, "You're just lucky, man. This kind of deal doesn't fall in people's laps anymore." I blinked. Lucky. Was I lucky when I slept on bus benches for 3 nights in January? Was I lucky when I scrubbed roach poop off baseboards in Flip 2? Was it luck that made me memorize tax lien codes at 2A? While other guys were streaming Netflix. I didn't answer him. I just smiled and let him keep talking. Because when people call you lucky, what they're really saying is, you're not supposed to be ahead of me. Luck is easier to swallow than reality. Reality is this. I outworked them in silence. I learned while they bragged. I suffered while they partied. And now, I was building something so quiet, so deliberate, that they couldn't even hear it coming. My LLC Whitestone Holdings was sitting on 5 properties, 3 flips, 2 buy and holds, all under market, all cash flowing. And still no one knew my name. Noah Whitaker. Still the guy who couldn't get it together. Perfect. But then the universe decided to give me a gift, wrapped in poetic irony. Carter's house, the one I slept in, folded laundry in, got mocked in, went up for foreclosure. I found the listing by accident. Or maybe instinct. I still checked those county record sites like a habit I couldn't quit. There it was. Address: 74 Oak Hollow Drive. Status: notice of default. Opening bid: 299 or sale date: TBD. I stared at that screen for 10 full minutes. It felt fake, like someone staged it to test me. Like I'd wake up in that mildew guest room and realize it was a dream. But it was real. Carter had lost it. The empire of fake hustle and rented lifestyle finally caught up. The man who once laughed when I asked for $1,000 was about to lose his house over $219K and poor refinancing decisions. The poetic part: I had $289,000 liquid, sitting quietly across 3 business accounts. I called my title guy, told him I'd be wiring funds through a shell entity under Whitestone. No flags, no noise. I even arranged for a property manager to handle the eviction notices so my name wouldn't show up. Not because I was scared, because I wanted the reveal to be mine when the time was right. Carter's social media told the rest of the story. Week 1, inspirational quotes. Week 2, passive-aggressive posts about fake friends and rising from setbacks. Week 3, a selfie in his car, eyes puffy with the caption, "Some storms are meant to wash away what no longer serves us." The irony. The storm didn't wash him away. I did, and he had no idea. I hit like on the post. Left a comment with my business burner account. Storms also make room for something new. Stay up, King. He replied with a fist bump emoji. I sat there laughing, phone in one hand, the deed to his house in the other. It wasn't about the house. It was about the message. I made it. Not despite him. Because of him. Every insult, every smirk, every time he looked at me like I was the stain on his floor. That was fuel. That was currency. He paid for this revenge in installments. And I just collected the last one. I didn't gloat. Not yet. I had a bigger plan in mind. The envelope was thick. Inside, a copy of the signed deed and a receipt for a wire transfer that cleared faster than Carter's ego ever did. I held the key like it was a relic, cold metal, slightly scratched, a piece of nothing to most people. But to me, proof. Proof that patience wins. The property manager I hired, a no-nonsense woman named Jen, texted me early. Tenant officially vacated. House is empty. Keys under mat. Let me know when you want the locks changed. I didn't answer her right away. Instead, I drove there. Not in a flashy car. Just my decade-old Camry with a cracked dashboard and a coffee stain on the passenger seat. The same car I once slept in behind that very house. The irony wasn't lost on me. When I pulled up to 74 Oak Hollow Drive, it looked smaller than I remembered. The shutters were chipped. The lawn was overgrown. The dream house Carter once mocked me from was now just another property. Another number in a portfolio, but not to me. I stood there for a while. Then I walked up the steps slowly, like entering a crime scene. Like I might still hear his voice from the living room calling shoes off Noah. I opened the door. Empty. Silent. Sunlight filtered through the dusty blinds, casting streaks across the floorboards I once mopped. Same baseboards. Same slight creak in the hallway near the bathroom. I walked into the guest bedroom, where I once folded his towels, where I once cried silently, thinking I was worthless. Now, I opened the closet door and found it empty. But the scratch I once made with my suitcase was still there. A small jagged line near the bottom shelf. I smiled. That scratch was mine. And now, so was everything else. I walked the whole house, room by room. Carter's old bedroom still had curtain rods with plastic tips. His bathroom had a hairdryer cord hook still stuck to the wall. I didn't touch anything, just took mental notes. Then I walked out back. The same backyard where he once threw a party I wasn't invited to, where I listened through the screen door while he laughed with people who didn't know me. Now, I stood at the edge of the lawn, pulled out my phone, and opened the security app linked to the new Ring camera I had installed that morning. Live feed. My property, my rules. Jen called. Want me to start scheduling showings? I thought for a second. Then I said, no, not yet. I want to do something first. She waited. I want to renovate it. Flip it. But I want to do it slow, room by room. Personally? Seriously? She asked. You're gonna swing a hammer again. I smiled. This time it's not about the money. It's about the message. She laughed and hung up. I stood on the porch with the keys in one hand, phone in the other, watching Carter's social feed refresh. He was trying to launch a podcast now. Something about mindset. I clicked follow. He followed me back within an hour. He still didn't know who I was. Perfect. Because the day he finds out, it won't be because I told him. It'll be because everyone else does first. The sign went up quietly. Open house. Sunday 5 p.m. No balloons. No agents. No Carter. Just me and Jen, a fresh coat of paint, and a playlist softly echoing through the halls. Miles Davis, Bon Iver, and a little essay for Edge. The house didn't need to sell fast. It needed to speak. Every wall whispered, "This used to belong to someone arrogant." And every finish I upgraded replied, "But now it belongs to someone precise." I didn't advertise the address beyond a few private investor groups. Didn't want a crowd, just the right eyes. But I did post one cryptic photo to the Whitestone Holdings burner account. A shot of the front porch. Caption, "Full circle." Within hours, Carter liked it. He still hadn't connected the dots. Still watching my ghost company win from afar, too proud to ask, too blind to guess. Sunday came. I wore black slacks, a white shirt, no tie. Clean, quiet, respectable. The kind of outfit that makes people say, "You look like a lawyer," even if you're just a guy with good posture. The first to arrive, a young couple. She was pregnant. He was anxious. They tiptoed through the living room like they were afraid of breaking the floorboards. "Did someone just move out?" she asked. "No," I said. They were moved out. They didn't ask more. Then came the investors, one by one. 3 showed up in Teslas, one in a truck that smelled like drywall dust. They nodded when I introduced myself as the seller. No last name, no title, just seller. The irony, Carter showed up. Late. He parked across the street alone, leaned against his rental like he belonged there. Probably thought it was just another flip from some rich East Coast firm. He didn't come in, but he watched the people go in and out of the house he used to call his castle. Watched them admire the tile. I handpicked the countertop. I personally sealed the door I installed in 98-degree heat without anyone's help. Jen whispered, "Is that?" "Yep," I said. Let him wait. Carter didn't approach me. Didn't say a word. Just stood there, arms crossed, sunglasses on, pretending not to care. But I saw the twitch in his jaw when someone pointed at the front porch and said, "This is exactly what we've been looking for." A few minutes later, Carter got in his car and drove off. He still didn't know. But his silence told me he felt it. And that was better than any confrontation. Because he knew he'd lost something. He just didn't know who took it. I wasn't planning to sell the house that fast. Truth be told, I thought I'd hang on to it for a while. Rent it out. Let it cash flow like a quiet monument to patience. But then 3 days after the open house, my inbox pinged. Subject line, "Offer on Oak Hollow Drive." All cash. It was from a guy named Adrian Patel. Young, suit-wearing tech money with a chip on his shoulder and an eagerness to beat out competitors. His message was short. Saw the place. Loved it. Full asking price. No contingencies. Close in 7 days. I stared at the screen. I hadn't even listed a price publicly. He offered $60,000 over what I paid. Just like that. I forwarded the email to Jen with one sentence. "Let's talk terms." But part of me hesitated. Was this it? Was this the end of the arc? Sell the house, pocket the win, and move on like Carter never existed. It felt incomplete. Because Carter still didn't know. Still walking around in the world like he hadn't been completely outplayed by the guy he once humiliated. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I logged into Facebook using my real name, Noah Whitaker. Same sad profile pic from 5 years ago. The one where I'm wearing a college hoodie I never finished paying off. I clicked Add Friend on Carter's profile. Waited. 1 hour later, he accepted. It was like he didn't even pause to think. I sent a message. "Hey, saw you at the open house Sunday. Sorry we didn't get to chat. ... typing bubble. Oh shoot, that was you. Damn. Small world lol. You work for the buyer." I took a breath, then typed, "I am the buyer." Seen. No reply. I waited 10 minutes. Still nothing. So I added, "Funny thing, you once said I'd always be poor, that I wasn't built for this." But turns out I was just building something you never saw coming. Message delivered. Still no reply. But I didn't need one, because the silence, that was the sound of his entire self-image cracking like cheap drywall. I accepted Adrian's offer that afternoon, signed the docs the next morning, profited $61,000 in 7 days, but that wasn't the real win. The real win was knowing Carter finally saw the truth. The guy he mocked in his kitchen now owned the deed, the equity, the legacy, and he never even saw it happen. Revenge is loudest when you stay silent. I didn't need to post a thing, didn't need to tag Carter, didn't need to brag or gloat. All I did was let the rumor spread. And it did. Fast. It started with Jen. She told one of the contractors over lunch. He told a lender during a walkthrough. That lender told a title rep. And just like that, everyone in our little circle knew. The ghost investor behind Whitestone Holdings, the one quietly scooping up properties across the county, was me, Noah Whitaker, the broke couch surfer, the guy who used to patch drywall for $50 and walk home in the rain. People suddenly started remembering me. Dude, I think I met you at a meetup back in 2017. Noah, right? I've been following your work for a while. Hey, we should grab coffee sometime. I love what you're building. It was all fake, but I smiled anyway. Because the people who once wouldn't return my texts now wanted to hear me talk. Meanwhile, Carter, he didn't say a word online. Not a post, not a quote, not even a sad little story about resilience. Just silence. But I know what happened next because 2 weeks later, his sister messaged me. Yes, Madeline, the one who used to walk past me like I was furniture. The one who once laughed when I offered to wash her car for cash. Her message started like this. Hey, I know this is random, but I just wanted to say congrats. I heard about the house. That's wild. I stared at it for a second, then replied, thanks. Took a while, but I'm just getting started. She liked the message, then sent another. It's weird. Carter's been kind of spiraling. I think he feels like everyone's passing him by. I could have said so many things. He's not being passed. He's being lapped. Tell him to keep spiraling. Maybe he'll finally hit bottom. That's what happens when you bet against quiet people. But I didn't say any of that. I just sent, hope he finds what he's looking for. Madeline left me on scene. And that's when I knew he knew. He just couldn't say it out loud. Because the moment you admit your downfall had a name, you give that name power. And Carter, he'd rather drown in silence than admit Noah Whitaker beat him. 3 months later, I stood behind a podium under fluorescent lighting sipping lukewarm hotel coffee, about to speak to a room full of real estate investors. The conference was one of those mid-tier events, mostly newer players, a few local sharks, and too many guys with clipboards and ego issues. The theme was Strategies for Long-Term Equity Growth. Boring title. But for me, it was the perfect stage. I wasn't scheduled to speak, not originally. But one of the panelists dropped out last minute, and Jen, now acting as my unofficial PR, volunteered me without asking. I didn't argue. Instead, I made a list. 10 things I wish I'd known when I was broke. I didn't plan to say Carter's name. I didn't need to. The story did the heavy lifting. I walked on stage with no slides, no clicker, no microphone headset. Just a lapel mic and the weight of my past. Hi, I'm Noah, I said. Pause. I used to scrub other people's toilets. Now I own the deeds to 10 of those toilets. So yeah, life's funny. Polite laughter. I told them about my first property, about eating instant noodles in a garage, about sleeping in my Camry while my mentor told people I was lucky to even be there. I described how one property changed everything, how I bought a house in cash, flipped it, and used that momentum to acquire 6 more in under a year. Real estate is math, I said, but revenge, that's art. Bigger laughter that time. Someone from the back raised a hand. Do you believe in forgiveness? I smiled. Sure, forgiveness is free, but I charge extra for forgetting. Another laugh, even a couple claps, and then I dropped it. The Carter line, without his name. There was this guy once. Let me stay in his house when I was broke. Told me I'd never make it. That I didn't have the stomach for business. I let the silence hang. Well, last year I bought that house. Paid off the mortgage in cash. He still doesn't know who signed the wire. That line. Killed. The room went quiet. The kind of silence that has weight to it. You could feel half the people leaning forward. One guy whispered, "Yo, Another murmured, "No way." I didn't confirm, didn't deny, just smiled. Later after the panel, 3 people came up to me and asked, "Was that story real?" I gave them the same answer every time. Does it matter? Because whether Carter believed it or not, everyone else did. And that was the point. Revenge is never just about the person who hurt you. It's about rewriting the narrative. And in that ballroom, under that cheap chandelier, I rewrote mine. A few weeks after the conference, I mailed a check. No return address. No, just a check. Made out to Carter Ellison. Amount $27,000. Memo. Repayment with interest. It wasn't his money. He never loaned me a cent. But years ago, when I was desperate and prideless, I'd ask Carter for $1,000 just to get out of a hole, just to breathe. He laughed. Said, "Man, I don't do handouts. I do investments." Then added, "And you're not a good bet." That sentence, tattooed in my brain. I didn't ask anyone else after that. And I never forgot the number, 1,000. So I gave it back, 27 times over. Because sometimes the loudest revenge isn't taking something from someone. It's giving them what they denied you, multiplied with a little smile they'll never see. I tracked the envelope. It arrived on a Monday. Jen and I were on a video call when I got the alert. She raised an eyebrow. "You actually sent it?" I nodded. "He'll open it. He'll check it twice. Then he'll wonder every day who sent it. You don't want him to know it was you." "No," I said. "I want him to ache with the mystery. Because the moment Carter sees that number, he'll spiral. He'll convince himself it was a mistake. He'll call his accountant. He'll check if it was from an old investment he forgot. Maybe a client. Maybe his ex. He'll dig. And every time he fails to find the answer, he'll feel that old familiar fear. Powerlessness. It'll itch at him, like mold behind fresh paint. Because for once in his curated cocky #hustle life, he won't be in control. And me, I'll just be here, building more, flipping, more disappearing deeper into the shell of success I built brick by brick. Some people climb ladders. I built an elevator, and I never let him see which floor I got off on. There's a building downtown, 6 stories tall, clean, black brick, steel-framed windows. Sleek and quiet like money that doesn't need to shout. It used to be a dental supply warehouse. Now, it's mine, or more specifically, it's Whitaker Square. I never wanted my name on anything. Not really. Legacy always felt like a vanity project, something old money people did to distract from the fact they were boring. But this was different. This building used to be a punchline. I remembered Carter making fun of it once. "Dude, I swear that place is cursed. Businesses go in bankruptcy comes out." So when it went up for auction, I bid, quietly, through a shell company. Won the lot at half market value. Jen laughed when I told her, "You're going to rename it, aren't you?" "Absolutely not," I said. But a month later, I walked by with a coffee in hand and saw it. Whitaker Square, etched in brushed steel flush with the facade. Jen's doing. I didn't stop her. Didn't correct it either. Now here's the twist. Carter works next door. Some fintech startup finally gave him a mid-level strategy title. I guess his charm aged like milk, sour and less convincing by the day. I knew he saw the sign because I watched him see it. From my car parked across the street. Tinted windows, coffee still warm. Spotify humming some ambient lo-fi in the background, like I was narrating my own documentary. He came out head-down, AirPods in, probably listening to a podcast about crushing mornings or maximizing ROI. Then he looked up, paused, squinted. That slow blink of someone realizing a nightmare was real. He stood there, not for long, maybe 3 seconds, but long enough to feel it sink in. The name he used to mock now looked down at him. And for once, there was nothing clever he could say. No snarky comment. No must be nice jab. Just 6 steel letters telling him the truth. You lost, not in one moment, not from one mistake, but from 1,000 small ones. Every time he chose ego over empathy. Every time he laughed instead of listened. Every time he underestimated someone quieter, hungrier, and more disciplined. That's how people fall. Not off cliffs, but downstairs, one smug step at a time. I watched him walk away a little faster than before, and for the first time in a long time, I felt done. Not angry, not smug, just done, and ready for whatever came next. The last move wasn't revenge. It was something else, something quieter, bigger, a full circle kind of thing. A few weeks after the building went live, I met with a lawyer. Downtown office leather chairs, the kind of place where documents come in folders thick enough to hurt someone. I signed a trust deed, not for me, for someone else. I called it the 8th Floor Foundation. Inside Whitaker Square on the top floor, the one with full glass windows and a private terrace. I built a small incubator for first-gen entrepreneurs, people like me. People who'd been told no, not because their ideas were bad, but because they didn't have the right watch or handshake or trust fund. The first grant went to a 24-year-old from East Austin. She wanted to start a sustainable construction firm. I gave her a year's rent-free office space, a 6-month mentor package, and $50,000 in silent capital. She cried. I just told her build it better than I did. That night, I sat on the terrace. No music, no wine, just whined in the city hum below. My phone buzzed, a number I hadn't seen in years. Carter. I let it ring, twice. Then I picked up. Hey, he said, voice brittle. So I saw the sign, and I didn't let him finish. Carter, I said. Silence. Thank you. He hesitated. For what? For telling me I'd never make it. That's the moment I started. Click. I blocked his number. Not out of malice. Out of closure. Because this story, it was never about him. It was about the deed. The first one I couldn't get, and the final one I took. Not out of spite, but to prove to myself more than anyone. You don't need someone else's belief to build a future. You just need your own name on the title. Sometimes the sweetest revenge doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like silence, weighted, intentional, peaceful. This wasn't a story about rage. It wasn't about proving anyone wrong with noise or spectacle. It was about something slower, more deliberate. A long, deliberate walk away from shame toward self-built power. Noah Whitaker didn't scream his success from rooftops. He didn't throw parties or publish bragging posts. He let the work speak, let the deeds build one after another, until they formed something undeniable. He didn't need to take anything from Carter. All he had to do was own what Carter thought he never could. The house, the building, the future. And when the moment came, when Carter stood beneath 6 letters that used to mean nothing to him, it wasn't rage that filled the air. It was reality, quiet, calm, irreversible. But the final chapter was never about Carter. It was about Noah giving someone else a chance he never had. A young woman with a dream, a name no one knew yet, a space to start from zero like he once did. That's what legacy looks like. Not steel signs or whispered rumors, but unlocked doors and open space. In the end, revenge faded. Peace remained. Because true power isn't in proving someone else wrong. It's in building a life so full, so real, so completely your own, that the people who once laughed at you now stand in your shadow without realizing how long it took to build. Noah never asked to be seen, but now no one can look away. And that's the final revenge.